When the Nintendo Switch was announced, I infamously said I didn't care that much for it, and it would be the first Nintendo portable I would pass on. We can't really consider the Virtual Boy a portable, right? We talked about this in this channel. Well, it didn't take that long for me to walk that back. I ended up buying a Nintendo Switch. It's been almost a year since I picked mine up. Was it worth it? Yes, with an asterisk. Let's get into it. If you've been paying attention to my channel, you know that I'm big into portability, and though the Switch isn't exactly a portable, it's portable enough. I can play Breath of the Wild on an airplane, so yeah, maybe it doesn't fit in my pocket, but I can still take AAA experiences on the go, which has been a dream of mine from the very first time I saw a Game Boy, which I happen to, I think I do this in every video, I point at my Game Boys back here. I am a big fan of portabilities, I collect Game Boys, and from the first time I saw one, I thought, you know what, this is great, but it's kind of like a black and white NES. Wouldn't it be awesome if like the games I'm playing on the Super Nintendo were available on something like this? And up until now, this was, I mean, let's be honest, this concept here, a portable console that plays your mainstream like big budget titles that you can also hook to a TV, this wasn't actually invented by Nintendo. Sega actually had them be by, well, quite a few years with the Sega Nomad, which was essentially a Switch, but for the Sega Genesis. Anyway, that was an interesting experiment, but it didn't work so well. The Switch is the first time we actually have that vision fully realized. So, though I wasn't a huge fan of the launch lineup, that's one of the reasons why I didn't pick it up at launch. And I know what you're gonna say, Breath of the Wild is one of the best games ever. I'm not a Zelda guy. I've come to appreciate it, though, I'll say this, but it's not a system seller for me. I did pick it up just before Mario Odyssey came out, and that was a blast of a game. Though I have to say, and it pains me to say this, but the Switch is lacking AAA experiences that are my cup of tea. I guess I should throw this in there. Of course, there are some huge titles coming in this year with Smash Brothers, which again, not my thing, and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, which I haven't fully decided if I'm okay with that kind of Pokemon. I wasn't a big fan of Pokemon Go, so perhaps I'll skip that one and wait for the real Pokemon that we're gonna get next year. So yeah, we're not getting the AAA experiences that you would expect out of, say, an Xbox or a PS4. And that's okay. What we're getting instead, at least for now, is indie titles that were already out on Steam and other consoles for a price point that I'm not super okay with, but with the big bonus of being able to play these things portably. And in fact, indies are what I've been playing the most on my Switch. The game that I put the most time into on this thing was actually something I had on Steam months ago, Dead Cells. Of course, with this, I can play it portably. I can play on the big screen TV in the living room, then I can pick it up and play in the bedroom in my TV in the bedroom, then I can pick it up and take it to work and play during my breaks, and then come home and put it right back on the dock and keep playing on the big screen TV. This is something that obviously you can't do with every system, and it's the biggest selling point of the Switch. Now, interestingly enough, for the first couple of months, I didn't even install my dock. It was in the closet inside its box because I saw the Switch as, first and foremost, a portable system. So I didn't really care for playing on the TV. But then I got the amazing Pro controller, and I have to say the praise is 100% merited on this thing. This is really one of the most comfortable controllers I've ever used. I got this for my girlfriend for Christmas, so I had to install the dock to make use of it. And that's when the Switch became this thing where I can play it portably, I can play on the TV. I ended up liking it so much, I picked up a second dock to play in the living room, and now I gotta say, I play both equally, which I did not expect. Now let's talk really quick about the Joy-Cons. As you know, one of the main selling points of the Switch, something that they showcase on the commercials and everything like this, is that you can detach the controllers, which are called the Joy-Cons. So each of these Joy-Cons basically emulates the layout of a Super Nintendo controller. So you have directional here, right? This little analog face buttons, a button like this plus button, which is basically like a start select options depending on the game, and L and R. Not very comfortable to play like this. I ended up not using this at all as it was intended. I thought this would be like a great way to experience games with friends. you have this thing in your backpack and you have some time to kill, and then you bust out like a Mario Kart or something like that. But this is just not that comfortable to hold. It's an interesting novelty. It's a great way to showcase the system to people who have no experience with it. It's great that the system, like out of the box, it's like, is this thing where you can just like pop this out, give it to somebody, and play a multiplayer game. Unfortunately, the execution isn't right up there with the idea. These are just too small, and the screen on the Switch itself is just way too small for this to be comfortable. You have to sit so close to the screen to actually see what's going on. It's an interesting novelty, but I really never do it, which is a bummer because I have 4 Joy-Cons. Most of my games are digital. I intended to go digital only with the Switch, but I ended up picking a few physical titles here and there. I don't intend to do that anymore. It's a hassle to be swapping the cards. I hate doing that with a passion, and I regret having bought the physical games that I did buy, although a good half of them were gifts, so I can complain too much. And then there's Switch Online, which is supposed to be coming out in a few weeks. We still don't know that much about the system, and if you've been paying attention, you probably don't expect Nintendo to get this right. Online services aren't really their forte, so what we know is it's gonna cost $20 a year. You're gonna get access to cloud saves, although it's not clear which games will support this and which won't. Still no way to message friends or no native voice chat. You still have to use that stupid phone app that they debuted a long time ago and literally nobody likes. And then you get to play some NES classics. This is disappointing. Nintendo is sitting on such a big catalog of first-party Super Nintendo and 64 GameCube games, and these could all run really well on the Switch. Maybe the outlier is the N64, because of course the N64 control scheme would probably not translate really well to something like this. Like, what would be the C, would these be the C buttons, or like, I don't know how exactly, so I'll give them that. Maybe this isn't super well suited for N64 games, but how about SNES games or GameCube games? We know that the system could run them, and I have a lot of friends who are hardcore Nintendo apologists who just default to saying, well, they didn't promise you anything, it's only $20 a year. I get that. I honestly get that. But they took 1 extra year to implement the system. They took 1 extra year to bring this thing to the table. I find it so hard to accept that we're getting these table scraps. Cloud saves that are not compatible with every game, and a couple of NES games with online multiplayer. Honestly, at this point in 2018, do you really care about playing Super Mario Brothers? I know this is blasphemous, I know it, but you know you're not going to be playing that on your Switch. Don't lie to me. Battery life on the Switch isn't great, though I already knew that going in, so I've learned to accept that there are some cases like battery packs and things like that that you attach to this thing and make it even less portable than it already is. Not a fan of those solutions. You could use, since it just is a regular USB-C here at the bottom, you could use power banks and things like that to charge your device, but it's kind of iffy which of those are safe to use with your Switch, so I can't recommend, and for that reason I don't use any of them. I've just learned to deal with the crummy battery life. I mean, it's not that bad. If you're gonna be playing something like Breath of the Wild, yeah, it's gonna suck the juice right out of this thing, but for the indie titles that I spend most of my time playing on the system, it's not too bad. And besides, if you're used to playing your Switch like me, I'm playing on the dock, then I take it out and I play during my breaks at work, which is like 99% of my use for the Switch when I'm not home, and then I come home and I put it back in the dock and I keep playing. That way it's always really charged. It never goes that long without being charged, so it's kind of like my cell phone, where I'm out there in the world using the cell phone, I come back home, I put it on the little charging base before I go to bed, and I wake up and it's charged again. So it's okay. We are seeing some pretty unexpected titles, to be honest. At least I didn't expect things like this on the Switch. I thought that the Switch would be like any other Nintendo console, where it has really strong first-party titles and then a couple of, like, you know, iffy third-party support and a couple of indies here and there. I ended up playing indies for the majority of the time that I play the Switch, and then there are titles I flat out didn't expect to see on the system, like Paladins here. Paladins is a game that has been available to me forever. It's a free shooter. It's a squad-based online shooter, and it's the kind of game that you wouldn't associate with a Nintendo console, being a first-person shooter and an online-only game. But it's actually a lot of fun. I'm playing a lot of it, and it actually hooked me into a game that, again, I didn't care for it at all. Another title I didn't expect to see on the Switch is Doom. I picked this up only because I wanted to support developers who are bringing these games that you don't really associate with Nintendo consoles to the Switch. Even though it's an older title, and yes, you can pick it up much cheaper on other platforms, but it is a portable, and I understand there's going to be a bit of a premium to playing these games on the go, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So that has been my year with the Switch. I absolutely love this console, which feels weird to me because when I first saw it, I even did a video saying that it didn't appeal to me at all. I'm not gonna buy it. I ended up loving it so much. I bought my girlfriend one. I bought my brother one because I wanted the people who are closest to me to enjoy this with me, to play online with me, and I absolutely love the system. There are a few games that I'm very excited for, not the ones you would expect. Like, I don't care about Smash, and Pokemon Let's Go, I might skip it. I have a few games on my radar that I feel would be right at home with the Switch, and like most Switch fans, this is something that we say a lot. This game would be perfect for the Switch, but I really think this would be a game that's perfect for the Switch. I saw this game on Reddit. It's called Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, and it's basically a space sim, and there's some dogfighting, there's exploration, there's trade, there's the whole commerce where you go to a planet or a station and you... What? Oh, a video stopped. A video just finished rendering. You go to a space station, you buy goods, and you fly somewhere else. You fight space pirates along the way, and then you sell it somewhere else for a profit. I absolutely love games like this. There isn't anything like that on the Switch just yet. There's something called Manticore Galaxy on Fire, which is a mobile port. There's quite a few of those on the Switch. I played one of the games in that franchise called Galaxy on Fire 2 on my iPhone. It's in fact the phone game that I played the most. It's one of the few phone games that I actually beat. I love that one. But this one, the one available on the Switch right now, is a stripped down version of it. It's more focused on the combat, and that's not what really attracts me to these space simulators. So there's Civilization 6 coming out for the Switch, which again blindsided a lot of people. I'm a huge strategy fan, right? So I'm excited for games like this. Into the Breach, another game that was already available on Steam, and now I can play it wherever I go on my Nintendo Switch. Also loving this. It's scratching that Advance Wars itch that I know we're never gonna see another Advance Wars title. So Into the Breach will have to do. Thankfully, it's an amazing title. This was a little more rambly than I expected, but this has been my first year with the Switch. I absolutely love this platform. I went from a naysayer to somebody who just I live and breathe this console every day. All the content that I consume, a lot of the content that I create, a lot of the things I talk about on social media, what I post on my Instagram, a lot of it is Switch related. I cannot wait, and this is only the second year really of the system. It came out last year, and it's not even 2 years old yet, and I've already gotten so much value out of the system, and I cannot wait to see what the future brings. But I want to hear from you guys. I'm not sure how many naysayers are there still about the Switch. It's been pretty universally well liked, but I want to hear from the people who didn't buy a Switch or who don't intend to buy a Switch at all. I really want to hear why that is. Is it because you just don't like Nintendo in general? Is it because the gaming experiences you like the most are the kinds that you will find on a PS4 or an Xbox One? Let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about you. I want to hear about the naysayers, because I used to be one. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. Follow me on social media. I'm very active over there on Twitter, on Instagram. I love to hear back from you guys. Love talking with you, engaging with you in real time there. I'm always curious to know where you're from, so let me know in the comments where you are from. As you know, I'm from Brazil, but I live in Canada. It's always amazing to me to go into the comment section and see people from Guatemala and Australia and everywhere in between. So let me know where you're from. And that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done.